Well, I do owe you an apology, or maybe I don't. Um, the summertime has came and gone. Well, it's still here, but let's put it this way: our kids are in school, so summer's over, right? Um, Michael is a bit under the weather, so please bear with him. I feel like I got a scratchy throat, so please bear with me. Um, and we're going to talk our shit a little bit because Michael edited an amazing video about the Steam Deck, and we hit 100 views on our YouTube channel. You know, it's the little things. But we are back for Nation80 podcast, and this is episode 19. And Mike, how you doing?
Yeah, man, as you mentioned before, little under the weather these last few days. I am recovering though, so if you hear me coughing in the background, I apologize. But other than that, yeah, we posted a video. It's got the most views of any video that we've posted. It's up
Mm-hmm.
to 1,000 views now. So I was super excited about that, and just made me want to start writing more and getting ready to record another video at some point in time this week. Hopefully, either today or tomorrow, and then get it edited down. And I think what I'll do is for these types of videos, because this will be another Steam Deck video,
Mm-hmm.
and this will probably be drop on Wednesday. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we had that. Like you said, school has started, so kids are in school. Elias started his first week. Uh, the got the 1 year old who is now in daycare, so we're good there. So now it's just a matter of, I don't want to say relaxing, but man, thank God the school year has started.
Yeah, man. Yeah, sometimes it's funny. The real heroes are teachers in a litany of ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
Number one, of course, providing education, but number two, being that proxy babysitter that you desperately need at times just to get away um, from your kids. You love them, but you're like, you know what? I need some space, and school provides that space a lot of times for like I tell you what, man, I took my birthday off just so that I could celebrate it by myself with my wife and not the kids, right? And I know that sounds crazy a little bit, but it was refreshing because they're on our hip all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that definitely was a welcome thing. And Mike, you just came back from Cape Cod yourself, like 2 weeks ago, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I came back from Cape Cod, did a little family vacation out there, which was nice because we stayed with Jen's brother and his family, and it was cool because the kids got to do their own thing, and man, I got to relax. I got to play on the Steam Deck a little bit. Got to chill on the beach, so it was a good time to just kind of unwind and get ready for the grind of life. When we got back, so it was good. It gave me a great learning lesson on how to fly with the Steam Deck. Like that was flying to the Cape was kind of a disaster with the Steam Deck.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Um, but flying back actually worked out really well. And so, uh, yeah, definitely lessons learned, and it definitely reinforced my excitedness of having the Steam Deck as something that's like my favorite piece of tech.
Yeah, I agree with that. When I flew back to Indiana, same thing. When I was flying to Indiana, uh, didn't really use the Steam Deck as much, but coming back, it was oh, sorry. I mean, what am I talking about? The Steam Deck, I got it shipped to my mother, so it wasn't with me going there anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But coming back, and thank goodness that we had a plane with an outlet, right? Because I didn't have a additional like a battery pack to keep it charged or anything like that.
Oh.
So, you know, for me, it was great that they had a three-prong outlet by my seat. So I plugged that bad boy in, and because I had never used it, I don't know why I didn't. I I'm real weird about using that stuff, and so I used it, and it, you know, of course, helped me stay charged the whole trip or whatever. And so I was pretty happy about that, you know. So I definitely agree. Like, Steam Deck is one of the best traveling techs for a gamer, by all means, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Like that was just a game changer. to have that availability of playing games, and I actually had a power bank with me, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't end up usually. I mean, your flight, of course, is way longer than what we had to do. I think our flight was just under 2 hours. So
Mm.
trying to get a gaming session on the plane was not a big deal at all, especially if you're trying to play like 2K or some other AAA type games that really require a lot of power.
Mm-hmm.
Because as we know, the battery life on the Steam Deck is not great. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but to have the option to plug in wherever you're at, or just have a power bank with you, is is pretty legit, and I'm excited, man. I'm excited to have the Steam Deck. I've been buying so many games. I've gotten so many games. I just picked up Spider Man uh, remastered, so check that out whenever you get a
have you played?
chance.
Have you played it out? Played it?
Yeah, I'm only a couple hours into it, but I've been playing it pretty steadily. Uh,
Yeah, because when I still had a PlayStation, I played it on that, and just kind of like Horizon Dawn. I love that game. That game is by far to me. I remember the old Spider-Man games back in the early 2000s or 90s. They were cool, but this one, that open world is set up so well, and you want to do everything in that game.
mm-hmm.
That I really love that game. You don't have to follow the story right away. You can explore. There's still little things to do, kind of like again Horizon Dawn.
Right.
So yeah, terrific game.
Yeah, you'll have to jump on there and see what you think of it, because man, it runs really well on the Steam Deck, which is very surprising. Like, I have it maxed out at 30 frames per second, and it looks freaking beautiful. I mean,
Mm.
it amazes me how well the game runs. No hiccups, no stutters. The graphics look great, um, and yeah, I mean, it's just been a true joy to play, because I have it on my PS4. I just
Mm.
never had the time to play it, and then when I did play it, Elias discovered it. He's like, "Ooh, what's this?" And he ended up basically beating the game before I even got a chance to get out of the damn tutorial. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's one of those things where and Horizon Dawn is another one that I've been playing. Because again, I have it on the PlayStation. I just have not been able to actually play it myself. And so now that I have it on the Steam Deck, it's much more accessible, I guess is the word to say. But it's a very accessible game to play right now. So yeah, I'm about 2 hours into
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I actually just finished Ace Combat 7,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was excited about that. Um, yeah, Ace Combat 7 I just finished. Of course, I also finished. Gosh, what was the other one that I finished? That I told you about that I was like, oh my
Didn't you
god.
finish the Batman game?
Yeah, I finished the Batman game. There was another one, and of course, it's Star Wars. I just
Mm.
finished Star Wars. Uh, uh, God, why could I not think of the name of the dang on title? But yeah, finished the latest Star Wars game. Finished Ace Combat. Um, like I said, bought Spider Man. I'm in Madden right now. There's a game called The Ascent that I'm playing, which is a pretty dope one too. I mean, Ultimate Marvel versus Capcom. I've been playing that. uh, just bought Destroy All Humans, the remastered edition. So yeah, I've been playing a lot on my Steam Deck.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I haven't gotten a lot of games recently, and it's because I've been telling myself I want to go beat some of the games that I already have.
Right.
So I re-downloaded Dishonored. I downloaded South Park, Stick of Truth, and I believe I downloaded something else. I still have Outer Worlds to beat. I want to get these games out the way, but they're long as hell. So I need to take care of some of the more story-based games, and I haven't really played Ninja Turtles like I wanted to. And then you put me on the Unmetal.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on for me to take care of. I just haven't done it yet. But Mike, let's excuse me, let's talk about the fact that since we've been away, San Diego Comic Con is taking place. A couple different trailers have came out, or more extended play trailers have came out. A couple TV shows have been released. Don't think anything really has happened in the movie world since Thor. Well, unless you want to, unless you want to mention about how the folks at HBO Max are trying to do some sort of restructuring as far as the DC universe and uh, their whole system as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
That's been going on as well. So, and then the Black Panther 2 trailer
Oh
we
yeah.
never talked
Oh yeah.
about.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, I don't know. Out of respect, let's talk about the Black Panther 2 trailer. I know it's been a while since we watched it. And, me and you would kind of have that rule of, hey, after I see one,
Right. That's it. Shut
I'm
it
not,
down.
yeah,
Shut
shut
it
it
down.
down, you know. And I'm going to tell you now, I watched the trailer one time and I don't need to watch anything more. And I mean that in a good way.
Right.
Like, as soon as that tone hit, No Woman, No Cry came on. Uh, Angela Bassett talking about how much she sacrificed and given. I was like, oh, we going this way,
Yeah,
right?
right. Right.
Because to be honest with you, I thought this was a disaster in the making. The movie itself, just due to the stories you were hearing about, like for example, Letitia Wright and vaccines.
Right. Yeah.
Um, there was some other drama going on set, and everyone was kind of nervous. It's like, well, I don't know if this is going to be hidden like that because they've dealt with so many challenges. But that trailer came out, and I was like, I every challenge that I thought of had been forgotten,
Mm-hmm.
and so now, of course, the questions come in the air: is there a new Black Panther? Oh, I forgot to mention we got my boy Namor in there now.
Yep.
There's so much. Uh, well, excuse me, there's not so much, but it's there's a level of excitement for me that I can't wait to see how this plays out. Um, and the trailer didn't even really give you too much,
No.
but it gave me more than enough to to satisfy my taste buds that I have to go to the theater to see that movie. I might have to, it's just gonna be like last time for Black people. We're gonna pull out the dashikis, we're gonna represent, you know, and all the other stuff because I don't know, man. People keep forgetting at times that Black people are geeks,
Right.
right?
Right.
No matter even older, younger, even now of senior age, right? Like a lot of my aunts were geeks, right? Now that I recognize that, you know, and so to see that excitement when Black Panther comes on, I know a lot of people like do a think piece, this, and this. I'm not gonna get into it, but there's nothing more fun than the excitement of the community getting together to rep something, you know. And so I'm super excited. I can't wait to go see in theaters. Um, just can't. I don't know. I'm just super excited. I know Ryan Coogler has there's nothing I could think of at the moment that he's let me down as a
Right.
director.
Right.
So, and I think he always gives these things the attention to detail and grace that they require. He doesn't seem to put too much on his plate that he's just over consumed with stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm super excited. Mike, what's your thoughts?
Yeah. No. Obviously excited as well. I think that it's going to be interesting to see. Because like you said, they didn't give us a lot as far as who's going to take up that mantle of Black Panther. We all assumed that Shuri would, but like you said, with what Letitia has been going through as far as staying out of social, or acting out on social media and everything like that. We've seen how that's worked out for certain celebrities, and some people don't care, some people do care, and it's just, it is what it is. So, so we didn't get much about who the next Black Panther is going to be. However, like you said, we know that Namor is going to be in there, the Atlanteans, which I'm excited for. Uh, but more excited is that I'm ready to see
But Mike, I
Ironheart.
hate to cut you off. Did you hear that they're not going to be called the Atlanteans?
Oh, I did not.
In Yeah, so and I think I didn't see the article itself, but I saw it mentioned on social media. So I believe it's too close
Oh, to
to
DC.
Aquaman, so
Oh.
they're going to give it another name. So yeah, there you have it.
Oh well, that's a shame. um, but yeah, no, I'm excited to see Namor. I think Namor is clearly the better of the kings, I guess. At least in my opinion, when it comes to who the true, ruler of the ocean is. So I'm excited to see that, but I'm excited to see Ironheart because they had
Hmm.
that little clip in there where you saw the heart being pounded out, drop on the floor, and I was like, oh, that's Ironheart, yes. Um, so I'm excited for that one. I'm curious if that's going to be her debut or if they're gonna debut her in something else and then she's just gonna do a cameo in Black Panther. So
And I know they're already filming Ironheart, I believe, the TV show right now.
right,
So,
yeah,
I'm super excited to see that as well. So, yeah, there's a lot going on right now, and uh, matter of fact, it's kind of crazy, right? Um, Marvel has pumped out so much content. Well, Disney slash Marvel has put out so much content that it's kind of impressive, and it's kind of scary at the same time, right? Because I'm not running the shit these days when it comes to a lot of the TV shows. Um, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just that there's so much, right? And then they're still bringing out Star Wars stuff, right? So
mm-hmm.
Obi-Wan Kenobi came out the same time as Miss Marvel. I finished Obi-Wan Kenobi because me and you were talking about it back and forth over text.
Mm-hmm.
And Miss Marvel has been good, but I have not completed it yet, um, which I intend to do probably today. But and I guess that's the beauty of it being only 6 episodes, even though I know, like for example, She-Hulk that just came out is a is 9 episodes, right? So there's just a lot of content, which makes it so much weirder that HBO Max is like, we're getting rid of a lot of stuff and we're going to start stepping away from scripted content, and they're trying to go, I don't know, I don't want to call the reality route, but they're going more towards that type of content, which I'm not really feeling at all. So HBO Max is not much longer for me.
Right, yeah, yeah. No, it's definitely going to the wayside there. I haven't really been like you said with all the stuff that's come out,
Hmm.
especially with DC and Marvel and the different streaming platforms. You really gotta I feel like you just gotta pick one and go with it. Uh,
Hmm.
and so right now, I mean, other than uh, John Cena's God, I can't even think of the name of the character now.
Peacemaker.
Peacemaker.
Hmm.
There's nothing really for me to watch on HBO Max. You know,
Hmm.
and even and like we finished watching uh, Miss Marvel, and
Hmm.
while I didn't think it was the greatest of the shows out, it's probably, in my opinion, it's probably one of the worst shows that they've come out with.
Mm.
It still keeps me going for all the other shows. Like we did see She Hulk this morning,
Hmm.
so I was pretty excited for that one. That looked really good.
Hmm.
I know it's been getting like review bombed, but you know what? And actually, I still haven't even finished watching Moon Knight, and I really need to finish watching Moon Knight.
Mm.
I completely forgot about that. Just completely left my radar. But as far as like the Black Panther and Ironheart go, I'm excited, man. I think that you know um, we're gonna get to see the I don't know the funeral, I guess, of Chadwick Boseman's T'Challa. Uh, so I'm curious to see how that's gonna look. We got a glimpse of it in the trailer. Uh, there looked like there was a water birth in the trailer, so I'm curious if that's one of T'Challa's. I can't think of the one person, the actress's name that played like his seemingly ex girlfriend who was like a spy or something like that.
Oh,
Um,
Lupita Nyong'o.
oh yeah. I'm curious to see if that was her giving a water birth and it happened to be T'Challa's kid. I don't know.
Mm,
Yeah, I mean, like as you said, Kugler. I can't think of anything that he's done that has been like, oh my god, this was a terrible movie.
mm-hmm.
So I'm waiting for him to represent in this one. I'm waiting for all these. I'm waiting for Namor. I'm so psyched for Namor. I think it's going to be some serious. This is like because Namor and T'Challa in the comics had beef, and both of them have invaded each other's countries,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm curious to see is this now that T'Challa is dead, is Namor making his move? Like, okay, the king is gone. It's time for me to take over.
Yeah,
So,
trust me, I want to go. While I still have Marvel Unlimited before it expires, I want to. I need to go back and reread that because that was a critical. That was a great part of the comics themselves,
oh yeah,
was they were beefing, and then for them to have to come back together due to another threat.
yep.
So, it is pretty interesting. So, yeah, super excited to see what happens with that. All right, so let's since you did watch She Hulk, well, actually, no, let's leave She Hulk for another moment. Let's give Obi Wan Kenobi a little bit of time. Um, Mike, why don't you start us off with Obi Wan Kenobi since you are our resident Star Wars SME.
Yeah, this was another show that I think got reviewed or got hit hard by a lot of people. I'm not sure why, but I thought it was great. I thought it did a great job of filling in the gaps of what's been going on, like between the third episode and the fourth episode of New Hope. And so I thought it did a great job of showing that because before it was we had Rogue One. Um, we had like the animated, Star Wars shows, whether it be Clone Wars or Rebels or
Mm-hmm.
the Bad Batch. So we had those, but to have Obi Wan come out here, and not only just that, you have, uh, the Night Sisters, not the Night Sisters, but the, gosh, I can't even think of their names now. I'm losing everything here. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but you had Vader's, Sith hunters,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought, man, that was just, I thought it was awesome. I thought watching Obi Wan and seeing him transform from being a guy who was just scared to even have his name mentioned, let alone show that he was a Jedi, and to
Mm-hmm.
see how he lost, his, I should say his power, but there are certain skills that are perishable, and his skills were pretty low at the beginning of the show, and to see them slowly get up and to hit that climax at the end when he fights Vader for the second time, because the first time he fought Vader, it was just Vader was toying with him. But the second time, it was like, whoa, all right, this is, Anakin. This is why you got your arms chopped off the first time,
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I really loved the show. I loved Moses Ingram in there. She knocked it out the park for me.
Mm-hmm.
She was great. I can't wait to see what they do with her next. Ewan McGregor, of course, did well. Hayden Christensen was in there. I loved the fact that they had Hayden Christensen and James Earl Jones in there. I thought that was great. I thought that was an awesome, awesome thing. They just had so many uh, moments. I love Joe Edgerton being back in there as Lars Owen or Owen Lars, and
Mm-hmm.
I just love the whole, I guess, the feel of it. I love the little girl that played Leia. I thought that was pretty cool. I'm glad they brought back Jimmy Smits for that role. Uh, as
I was cool with even having O'Shea Jackson Jr. in it.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what they're gonna do with him because that's not like a, I had to tell Jen that I was like, who this is, right? And so that's not a small name to just randomly put in there, you
Right.
know.
Right.
So I'm curious to see what they're gonna do with his
Mm-hmm.
character, because I would love for him to step up and be like, is this like the one of the guys that's pivotal into uh, forming the Rebel Alliance? Like I think
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty cool.
Hey
So
man, he's got the chops.
yeah,
He
I
takes the craft seriously, and I follow him on Twitter, and he loves talking about these things. So that to me, that's a good thing uh, when you're doing certain roles. So
mhm.
I am too excited to see where he goes from here. One of the other things I was going to say was um, I'm glad that Darth Vader is getting his shine, right?
Oh yeah,
And the reason I say that is right. Don't get me wrong. Wasn't like he wasn't in the and Star Wars 4, 5, and 6. But the thing is, I don't know, because of technology at the time and stuff like that, right? Even though we saw him fight, it was kind of kept at a minimum, right? Probably due to the suit being cumbersome or whatever, right? And so, when the Star Wars comics and books were released throughout the years, and they're telling you Vader is ridiculously strong with the Force,
hmm
but you didn't see a visual representation of it, you were like, okay, I don't know how true this is or not, right? Well, I won't say not true. It's just that you were like, okay, but where? I want to see it. I want to see it, right? And then I remember watching Rogue One, and we watch Vader go through that ship, and then you're like, oh, Vader gets down like this, right?
right, yep,
And then so uh there's your that's for me at least. That was my first start seeing how powerful he is. And then we get to there was the Darth Vader comic book, and I watch him. I think he pulled a planet towards him,
hmm
and I can't remember. He did something of that. And then you're like, oh, he can really use the Force. And then there's the Obi-Wan TV show, and then I saw him pull a whole Star Cruiser towards him, and I was just like, man, this dude is not for play,
hmm
right? Because I think the hardest thing in for me as a casual is understanding the the levels of the Force as far as strength,
right,
right? um because like I know you have Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then you go, okay, his ability to use the Force is strong, but then I remember Yoda's ability to use the Force. I remember Vader's use of the Force, which is something completely different, right? And then I know there's other characters that use it as well, but those were the ones. And then because I know some of it's used for plot and something like that, you're like, okay, well, how strong is he?
right,
If he can pull a ship, how come he didn't? I don't know. They kind of trap themselves when they write it sometimes, because then you're like, well, how come you didn't use it in this scenario,
right,
right?
right,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
and all this other stuff, but yeah, this is why I liked Obi-Wan Kenobi, because Obi-Wan Kenobi too, I felt like needed more shine. He got it. I think Hayden Christensen is as great as unrememberable as he was as Anakin at times. I still think like the older Anakin, I think he plays great,
right,
right? Because watching him when he was challenged Obi-Wan and talking about, and Obi-Wan's telling him, it's like, well, your need to win is what's distracting you instead of, X, Y, and Z, or to show you're better.
yep,
And I think that was a great scene for him.
yep, absolutely,
So,
yeah,
uh,
yeah. I love those flashbacks.
yeah.
Those were key. Those are clutch. And like you said, I love that they gave both those characters their shine, because episodes 1 through 3, those movies were they had their good moments, but for the most
Mm-hmm.
part, the general consensus is that they were terrible. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and as a result, a lot of those characters suffered for it, and so despite seeing Obi-Wan do his thing in a few of those episodes, and then Hayden Christensen having his, moment. I think it was in the second movie.
Mm-hmm.
It really didn't do it justice. And so now you have these flashbacks, and then you have like where are they at now, um, and how they come together. Because like you said before, especially with Vader, I think it was more of like he was imposing in the movies,
Mm-hmm.
with that James Earl Jones voice, like, and he would use the force to snap people's necks or whatever like that, um, and he would do it slowly, or and like they were suffocating pretty much, so he had that
Mm-hmm.
menacing demeanor, but you never really got to see the true power of Darth Vader because it's really Anakin Skywalker, and he was supposed to be like one of the greatest warriors, of the old Republic. And so to see, and I agree, from Rogue one of the best scenes in that movie was at the end, where he's just murking rebels left and right, and
Mm-hmm.
they're like running for their lives, and
Mm-hmm.
he had
Mm-hmm.
no mercy. He had no mercy. He was cold blooded. Um, I think that was the first glimpse of what you could actually get from a Darth Vader other than in comics and in video games. And so, especially with the Obi-Wan series, you have the one scene where he's walking down the village road, and he's just randomly killing people until
Mm-hmm.
Obi-Wan comes out, and uh, like I said, he's playing with him basically in the first battle, and then in the second battle, he's just straight up like going to town, or Obi Wan's going to town on Vader. But you got to see a great lightsaber battle. It
Yep.
actually reminded me of uh, the video game Star Wars. God, why can I not think of this? I keep wanting to say Uncharted, but oh my goodness, why is this? This is gonna bother me. I'm gonna have to look it up. But anyway, at the end of that video game, um, you battle your last boss, but then once you beat him, you actually end up having to fight Vader at the end,
Mm-hmm.
and so uh, Jedi Fallen Order, Jesus. Um, yeah, so you as Cal, you end up having to fight Vader at the very end, and you don't beat him, of course, because he's just massively overpowered,
Right.
and so that's the only time you really get to see that. But I thought Obi Wan did a great job of showing both sides, showing that yeah, Obi Wan once he gets his stuff together, he's a pretty legit dude.
Yeah.
And so I just thought there were so many great uh, moments in that. I think by far that end scene with Obi Wan and Vader was probably my favorite. But I think that the standout to me in that show was Reva, which was played
Same.
by Moses Ingram. I thought she was very complicated. She was a youngling, and got turned into this Sith warrior, but now she has these conflicting thoughts, and she really just trying to go after Obi-Wan because she feels like that he abandoned them and everything like that. So I thought that whole storyline was really awesome, and I,
Mm-hmm.
I loved how that played out. I thought it was funny that uh, the guy from the Eternals movie was in there.
Mm-hmm.
Kumail, I can never pronounce his name, uh, but I thought it was funny that he was in it. So I thought that was cool. Um, so I thought it was great. The Inquisitors I thought were great. The Grand Inquisitor I thought was awesome. The fifth brother, who's played by Sue Kang, I didn't realize
Mm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought all of those were. I thought it was a good show. I really honestly thought that was a good show, and I like you said, O'Shea Jackson I thought was awesome in there for
Mm-hmm.
the little bits that he was in it. So good show. I can't wait for the second season. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, I think they were able to do a lot with a little, which I think is even harder as well, because there's been a couple of shows, and I'm kind of looking at Moon Knight on this one, where I consider myself to be a big Moon Knight fan,
Mm-hmm.
and Moon Knight was lacking to me in a lot of areas. Not in the case of acting, but in the case of action, right?
Okay.
And so um by the time you finally get to the last episode, you're like, well, damn, why it takes so long to get here,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so, yeah, and then for them to tease like, well, this is probably only one season, which it looks like they are doing a second season. Like I think they're filming right now, uh, which is good. But um, that personally and we didn't get to talk about it because of the fact that of conflicting schedules at the time, but it was one of those things where it was just like, man, y'all really could have did better with this.
Mm-hmm.
And again, uh, excuse me, Disney slash Marvel's doing better than this is still light years away from other things, right? It's like the production is great, the story, uh, if you will, can be great, but you can also see that, like, again, you can see where it's like, okay, hey, we need to. I'll even put Miss Marvel in it for the episodes that I've seen. It's like they said, hey, we want to put this show together, but we also have to be fiscal responsible about how we do this, right? So the action scenes become less and less what they should be. Um, and I can start to see it with Moon Knight, and I saw it a lot more with Miss Marvel, in the sense of Kamala's not really using her powers, and then when she does use them, she uses them for like 3 seconds, and then they move on to something else. Now
Right.
I haven't finished that, so I'm sure there's probably an episode where they go balls to the wall, but I can see the trend where now it's like, okay, like I'm assuming Ironheart's going to come out and she might not even don the suit until episode 3 or the
Right.
end of episode 1,
Right.
and then she doesn't use it again until like episode 4,
Right.
right? And then you understand in a sense because it's still a TV show, and I understand because I could make a case for certain things in Star Wars as well, but they've made it work. Um, it's a little bit harder to me when it comes to the superhero genre because part of the reason you want to watch it is because you want to see their powers,
Right. You want to
right?
see people walling out.
Yeah, and when you don't get it, you're kind of like, so like, um I know, uh you had Sam Wilson and Bucky, or Captain America and the Winter Soldier, on the TV show, and it works out well because why? They don't have superpowers,
Right.
right? Compared to Moon Knight, who should damn near be like Batman, but he's not doing anything like Batman until episode 5 or 6, right? And then Miss Marvel has the powers that she has, like she has the powers of elongation. She has quite a bit of powers, and then you have to kind of draw them back because you're on a TV show, right? And this is just me nitpicking, right? This is not, it's not the end all be all, and I understand what they have to do, what it takes to put this type of thing onto the small screen. I don't want to make it seem like I'm like massively complaining about it, but it does kind of ruin it a bit because you want to see them get to the shits, but you got to wait through, I don't know, 3 4 episodes of filler before they really get to the shits.
Right.
So,
Yeah. No. You'll have to get to the end of Miss Marvel and let me know what you think because I know exactly what you're talking about.
mm-hmm,
Miss Marvel goes in. There's a weird turn that Miss Marvel goes into where even I was like, okay, I don't understand why they're doing this, and
mm,
it's not really making any sense. And then by the time they get to the end of the show, things pop off. But it's like, well, you could have gone without that middle part and just
mm-hmm,
gone from the beginning, and then had a little bit of a slowdown in the middle, and then go to the end. Like the way that they did the middle episodes, I really didn't agree with because
mm-hmm,
they really changed up the powers for Miss
mm,
Marvel and the origin of those powers.
yeah,
And so, which is fine, but how they gave the backstory for it just really, I felt was unnecessary. I kind of dazed through those episodes because I was like, oh, okay, this doesn't really matter. Jen's trying to
Mm-hmm.
ask me questions about it. I was like, I don't know, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I know what happens in the comic book,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
it
because she gets hit with the Terrigan Mist in the comic books.
right because she's
And
an Inhuman,
yeah.
in the
And
comics.
then in this one they went with the Bengals
Right,
are majestic and gave
right,
her powers or whatever. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
I totally get that,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And here's the thing: I think the actress is great for Miss Marvel. I
Absolutely,
just think, I just
absolutely.
think, I think, I don't know. I guess they're trying to exclude the Inhumans now because of whatever. I don't know, but because of that, it to me it did Miss Marvel a disservice, the TV show,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Um, and I can under no, never mind. I was gonna first say I can understand kind of going slightly this route, but after a while, I'm kind of like, nah. It, and I don't know. I can't speak because I don't know anything about Pakistan history, so I don't know if that's even a better representation or whatever. But for just in the sense of storytelling, I think they missed the mark on Miss Marvel's and like you said, I got to the part where they went back to Pakistan and I think they went like back in time and to me that looked like a complete filler episode. And I wasn't even watching after a while. I was just like, okay, I'm not and I think that's why I haven't gone back yet,
yeah.
even though I
So
do want to finish.
it happens for like I think the next couple episodes.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even so much that they go back in time; it's that she's seeing like
Back in time.
her grandmother
Yeah.
and her story, because of the bracelets, and so it's like okay, and so like it's either 2 or 3 episodes of that,
Yeah.
and then like it just there's the end, like everything pops off in the end, and then you're like, okay, like,
Yeah.
and the fact that the Inhumans aren't in there, um,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of get why. I kind of understand why they haven't done that because you haven't even
Mm-hmm.
introduced the mutants yet, um,
Yeah.
and so I feel like that would confuse people too much. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
because you've got mutants and then you've got Inhumans, um,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think that's why they're not introducing them that
Mm-hmm.
way, at least as far as I should say the Inhumans are in the MCU. I mean, we just saw it in the Wanda, or the
The
Doctor
Doctor
Strange movie.
Strange. Yep.
uh, Whether or not they're in this universe, um, is another question, but we certainly saw Black Bolt get killed.
Mm-hmm.
uh, but yeah, I mean, it yeah, I would I agree. The actress that played Miss Marvel was awesome. I thought the casting in general was good,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't like the because they brought in damage control again, and so it's like, okay, what is damage control's like real? What is their actual mission within the MCU?
Mm-hmm.
And so they brought that in again, and then um, you had like this weird, backstory to, I don't know. It was just, like you said, I thought they did a disservice with how they did that story. And I don't know if this was because of COVID and scripting and writing and planning and shooting or whatever, but it just it felt like they were just like, okay, we got this, we got this, we got this. So just throw it in there and see what happens.
Yeah.
Like that's what it
So
felt like to me.
I agree. So it makes because of that, it makes me a little worried about. I won't say a little. It makes me worried about She-Hulk. Right. This first episode was great. In the sense of budget, I'm sure it's one of the more expensive episodes because of all the CGI used for the Hulk and She-Hulk and all the other stuff. But I think it was a great starting ground. But I think the same thing is going to happen, like what's happened with all the other shows, where, well, I'm nervous that it's going to happen. That they're going to find some way that she stays as her regular self than as She-Hulk as much as possible. So there's less money being used on the special effects.
Well,
right?
so what I understand is that she'll actually be She-Hulk most of the time,
Okay.
but from the story, I know what story they're pulling this from,
Mm,
and that story is not a heavy action story.
yeah.
Um,
It's
it's
more.
it's literally her learning how to just be at peace with herself,
Mm-hmm.
while working to defend uh, supervillains.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so uh, she's got like this fourth wall, like Deadpool type of
Mm-hmm.
dichotomy going on. So, uh, like I said, from what I understand, she's going to be She-Hulk most of the time. It's just
Mm.
not going to be, it's not going to be a new villain every week that
Every
she's
week.
fighting.
Yeah.
So and at
It's gonna
that
have that
point,
Harvey Birdman element to
right?
it.
And so
Yeah.
and I guess like for me at least, I'm okay with it just because I know what story they're pulling from, and I read
Same
that
here.
story earlier this year,
Yeah.
and so I'm okay with that. But like for anybody that doesn't, especially like you said, you want to watch the Hulk, you want to watch the Hulk smash some shit up,
Yeah.
and if she's not going to do that, then what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
And so I have that fear too that people are going to be like, okay, we wanted to see her like blow stuff up, but she's not really doing that. And to be honest, that's not really her character. That's the whole point,
No.
like of the first episode where Bruce is like, "Wait, you're yourself.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody controlling you. There's nobody,
Mm-hmm.
aching to get out and be the driver at the wheel." And he was very
She's one of the more tamer of the Hulks.
yeah, like,
Yeah,
he was
honestly.
very dumbfounded. He's like, "Oh my god, that's amazing!
Mm-hmm.
Like you can just be yourself, you know." And so I think that's like the main difference where you have Bruce Banner's Hulk is like, oh man, he just turned green, and, shit's about to
It's
pop
on
off,
now.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Jennifer Walters, she can still be very calculated and do her thing without going all crazy nutty. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think I like you. I love the first episode. I did not love the runtime. I thought 38 minutes was a little short. Uh,
Same.
so I hope that.
Yo, and they've been robbing. Okay, I'm glad you mentioned that. They've been robbing us with that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I've been bamboozled a lot, and I've been bamboozled between. It doesn't even matter, Marvel or DC. They're I'm a bit annoyed of that too, right? Because one episode is 45 minutes, which I usually think is a prime spot,
right,
right? To about, I think it was Obi-Wan Kenobi was like 32 minutes. And I was like, come on. Like, matter of fact, I think it's episode 3 or 4 Obi-Wan Kenobi. It is extremely short. And I was just like, okay, what are you guys doing?
right,
Right? Like I I've been willing to accept shorter seasons because I think Moon Knight is 6 episodes. I think Miss Marvel is 6 episodes. She Hulk is going to be 9. Obi Wan Kenobi is 6, I think. And so I've been, and I think even like the Mandalorian was 6 or 8, something like that. I'm cool with that. But then when you go and you say, okay, you're going to give me, okay, matter of fact, it's not even really 40 minutes because them 40 minutes is 35 episodes of show, 5 minutes of credits,
right,
right?
right,
Because you're going through all the international credits at the end,
right,
right? And again, so like for example, when I go back to that Obi-Wan Kenobi episode, that was like 35 minutes or maybe less than 30 minutes. That means you've only given me 20 to 25 minutes of show and then 5 minutes of credit.
right.
And then it's like, come on, man, what are y'all doing? Right?
Well, like with
Uh,
the She-Hulk, you have to like watch until the very end of the credits just to get the end scene. And so
yeah,
it's like, okay, so now we've got the 5 to 10 minutes of credits, and
yeah,
then another 60-second scene.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like, okay. And I feel like a lot of shows do that now, whether it's DC, Marvel, or whatever's on Hulu or Netflix.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You start to see that a lot. The last season of Stranger Things, it was like their run times were all over the place, and then the second part of that season was like,
it's
okay,
like
we're
two
gonna
and a
give
half
you like
hours.
a two
Yeah,
and a half hour episode and then like a hour episode. It's like what?
yeah, yeah. I agree with that. But yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because uh and here's the thing, that's just me being old school. I get it. I kind of get it in the grand scheme of that, you really are fighting for people's attention these days. But um as someone like me who just loves this stuff, like sometimes I'm like, man, y'all got to do better than 30 minutes. Like at least give me 40. It's kind of like I know the trend has been happening in comic books too, where they're like, okay, 32 pages of comic books, 32 comic book pages, right? But 8 of them are ads.
Right.
And you're like, okay, you didn't give me 32 pages, right?
Right.
Like a double size 64 page, it was 64 pages of art and maybe 1 or 2 ads, but now it's a litany of it, right? So different times, of course, and stuff like that, but still, I don't know, it just gets quite aggravating at times. So Mike, let's talk a little DC here to finish up the day. um we haven't it's coming out soon too, and we haven't given it, I don't know, I think we talked about it maybe once or twice, but we haven't given it maybe the attention it deserves. And that would be the DC Gotham Knights video game, which is, if I remember correctly, is coming out in October, November timeframe, as long as there's no delays or whatnot.
Right.
um and from what I've seen, uh basically Batman has gone missing, and or excuse me, is declared dead.
Right.
And the Court of Owls has a play at this, and then it's up to basically Nightwing, Robin, and the whole Gotham crew to find out what's going on and kind of stop the Court of Owls. And I've been hearing conflicting reports. There's certain reports that everything is fine, it's going great, and all this other stuff. There's some chatter out there that has been saying that the game has been rushed, and so don't expect a very cohesive game when you get started. One of the promises that they made that is a big reason I want this game is the fact that you're supposed to be able to do co-op play,
Right.
which for us is very exciting because you know how we get down. We love these co-op games with story. Um, what's your thoughts on this new Gotham Knights game?
Yeah. So yeah, it's gotten a lot of flack because one of their latest trailers, uh, people were like, "Man, the quality of the graphics and everything just does not look good,"
Mm-hmm.
especially for a game that's supposed to be coming out on a next generation system.
Mm-hmm.
And so people were like, "Oh my god, this is not great." But on the other hand, because there have been a lot of delays in games this year, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
delays, a lot of games being pushed back. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Batman just, or I should say Batman, but Gotham Knights did just hit gold, which basically means it's gone through all its QA stuff. It's ready to go,
It's ready to
and
print.
yeah, and it looks like 25 October is when it is still scheduled to come out. Uh, Unfortunately, I think what's going to happen, and this is just a trend of almost every AAA game that comes out, uh, what we're going to get is going to need, day one patches,
Mm-hmm.
and then a patch, 2 or 3 weeks from that, and then another patch, and then another patch. Like we're not going to get a finished product.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels rare to get a game that comes out uh, that's a
Complete.
finished project or product.
Especially
So
that they know that they can just instantly re-upload the game,
yep,
or excuse me, attach updates to the game,
yep,
one way or another.
yep. So I think this is just one of those things where um, it's not going to be what people think. I think people are going to be pissed. I, on the other hand, don't really care. I'm not terribly picky as long as the core game function is there. Like you said, this is supposed to be a co-op themed game,
Mm-hmm.
um, and to be able to go up and pick your, whoever in your bat family that you want to be able to pick, and go up against the Court of Owls, I think is going to be pretty baller. So I'm excited for this game to come out. Uh, but the fact that it has had some issues that people have not really liked. I mean, I feel like people are just gonna, they're gonna bitch about whatever they're gonna bitch about, and
I agree.
it's just you just got to kind of got to take it with a grain of salt and develop that opinion for yourself. So, are you gonna spend $70 on this PlayStation 5 game? So, uh, it's just we'll see what happens.
And the beauty too is at least because someone's going to post it day one, you get to get some visualization of it on YouTube.
Yeah,
Like I do like
absolutely.
looking at like I think Rad Brad and a few other guys do some great videos where because I don't want someone to get the game and then just instantly bash it. Just
Right.
show me some visual and I'll make my opinion on the game itself, right? And so I do want to see some visuals on it because I remember being so iffy about Spider-Man until I think I watched a couple YouTube videos like this is the most amazing game ever, and now I was like, oh, I'm on it. You know, I don't need this to be like you said. Uh, I don't need it to be the next whatever. I just need it, like you said, the core functions. Because like, yo, how much fun was Dead Island?
Right.
The fact that we could play it together,
Right.
than it being the best game in the world because it wasn't. But the fact that we were able to play together really made that game great. Same thing with the Division. The Division could have been a great game. It missed the mark, but the fact that we were all able to play together is what really took
Mm-hmm.
that game to the next level. And then I think Dead by Daylight was another one. Um, and then Borderlands 1 and 2 were great for that, right? Even 3 would have been good, but 3, I don't know, just it didn't strike me well. And so, yeah, if they have those things, I think we're solid in my perspective, right? Um,
Yeah,
I,
and
I
I think too what people are kind of nervous about is the fact that it's another developer. You know, um,
it's not rock steady, is it?
no, it's not. And
Okay.
so the last two Batman games were from Rocksteady, and so now you have a new developer here, um, and uh, I think that's what makes people nervous. I mean, it's still WB, Montreal, um, but it's not really their. This is their first foray into it for the Batman series, and
Mm-hmm.
um, I think that the Batman franchise, as far as video games, it's huge. It's a huge franchise,
Mm-hmm.
and so people, of course, are nervous about that. So, you know, Rocksteady had led that front for so long. I mean, WB Montreal was always involved, but Rocksteady was the one that was doing the meat and potatoes of it.
Yeah.
So I feel like WB Montreal should do a good job because it's not like they haven't worked on Batman games before, but uh, I think it's just because now it's just them.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? We'll see. But you know, everybody is analyzing the heck out of these trailers, and I've never been one to really look at game trailers.
Mm.
And even when I do, I treat it like movies. It's like, okay, if the trailer catches me, I'm down with it. Uh, and then like you, I'll wait till a review comes out where I can see actual gameplay footage, and
Mm.
then I'll make my determination of whether or not I'm gonna actually get that game. And so, uh,
Yeah.
very rarely will I just like jump blindly in and be like, I'm just gonna buy this game, and unless it's like a game that I know, I'm just like, nope, it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna go ahead and get it. But
Yeah. Then I was gonna say, I mean, and then you know how we are. Even if it's like, okay, this is not a $60 game.
right,
The minute that joint hits $20, $5, I'm all over it, right?
right,
You know, it again doesn't mean it's a bad game. It's just the fact that it just depends. Like this hits again. This one has more chance of me buying it early because of the fact that we can all play it,
right.
right? The minute that joint hits $45, I might be gifting that game to everybody that I know, right? Just to play it. But if someone tells me that that doesn't work, then we'll be waiting until it's $20 and patched all the hell,
Hmm.
you know. But it is what it is, and I agree with you, Mike, because it's like, um, calm down. It's only a trailer. Everything doesn't have to be a super AAA title for it to work, right? Um, and when I say that, it doesn't have to be like Last of Us or something like that. It, the thing is it fun? Does the gameplay work the way it's supposed to? So, um, I'll be cool with that. And we're playing again in Gotham because these games come so far in between, man. I hate it
Right.
at times.
Right.
So, the fact that we're getting something, because like I would still, there's still that little part of me that would love a decent Superman game now that technology has changed.
Oh, absolutely.
But we'll see how that plays out. But to get this game, and then remind you, Suicide Squad is right around the corner, meaning next year. Uh, I hope that that should be exciting too. So we'll see.
That game I have no hope for. I absolutely,
Really?
yeah, that one I have no hope for. I think that one is, um, I think that one's gonna have some issues, but that's so far down the road that I we'll see what happens with it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That'll be interesting to see, because they have a lot to do for that game, especially they're going against the Justice League, number one. So the story is going to have to hit a little differently, and I I know that they're supposed to have all the characters work together some sort of way with the additional other characters and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a bit to be done on that one too. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But that has been another episode Nation 80 podcast. Mike, we need to start doing this weekly again.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
Because especially this fourth quarter is coming up. There's gonna be a lot to talk about.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah, there's still a lot of games to come out. A lot of TV shows to talk about. A lot of movies to talk about.
yeah.
All the social media stuff, or not social media stuff, but all the pop culture stuff
Mm-hmm.
that's out there. Let alone the comics that we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, there's a ton of stuff to talk about, and I'm most certainly ready to get back into the form of doing this, making this a weekly thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will add some structure for next week because we've been freestyling for the last three and just having conversations, which is always fun. But um, I'm going to definitely make the note to try to find some subjects to talk about this time around. But like I said, this has been another episode of the Nation 80 podcast, episode 19. Once again, come check out our YouTube channel. Like I said, Michael created a great video just saying whether the Steam Deck is worth it. As you know, we've been singing its praises. It has its flaws like other things, which is the battery life, but still, it's amazing, amazing device. And there's there's not enough time. How much to There's not enough time to give it all of its praises in an hour. So yeah, go check that out. Like I said, it's our highest viewed video at the moment and all the other stuff. And yeah, we will see you hopefully next week for another episode of the podcast. Peace.